Welcome to the Healthy, Wealthy, and Smart podcast. Each week, we interview the best and brightest in physical therapy, wellness, and entrepreneurship. We give you cutting-edge information you need to live your best life, healthy, wealthy, and smart. The information in this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and should not be used as personalized medical advice. And now, here's your host, Dr. Karen Litzy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Karen Litzy, and today's episode is brought to you by My PT Insurance. So if you would like to win a $250 Amazon gift card with no purchase necessary, listen up. My PT Insurance has the liability policy you need at an affordable price. It includes fitness instruction, portable coverage, and you get approved in just 3 minutes online. With PT policy starting at $149, they've got you covered. So for all my listeners, you can save an additional $20 off a policy today. So for a chance to win the gift card and save $20, visit myptinsurance.com/smart. And the contest ends February 28th, 2019, so you have plenty of time. So a huge thanks to My PT Insurance for sponsoring today's episode. And on to the episode. Jenna Kantor, Dr. Jenna Kantor, is back with another great episode with one of my favorite people in PT, Matthew Villegas. His goal as someone born with brachial plexus injury, which is trauma to the bundle of nerves near the shoulder blade and collarbone, is to help others with brachial plexus injuries live life to their fullest and dare to run and compete in CrossFit through my skills as physical therapist. He hosts the Capable Body podcast, which is available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, which aims to bridge the gap between healthcare providers and real people with real stories. Also, the podcast features an active Facebook community that is a safe space where he shares more means to connect with his guests as well as some behind-the-scenes extras. And in this episode, they talk about how to deal with anxiety in physical therapy school, or we can just say how to deal with anxiety in general. So they talk about how anxiety manifested itself in Matthew's DPT experience, his tips on how to tackle the challenges of a DPT program, and what a pre-PT student should do before going to PT school, and much, much more. So a huge thanks to Jenna and Matthew for a really great interview, and everyone enjoy.
Hello, this is Jenna Kantor. I have the pleasure of hosting Healthy, Wealthy, and Smart today, and I get to speak with Matthew Villegas, who is a very, very inspirational physical therapist whom I met while in physical therapy school. And today we're going to be discussing how to work with anxiety while you are in physical therapy school. This is a real thing. I dealt with it a lot. I have a lot of friends who dealt with it. You're taking on a whole load, this huge, massive load of information. And then on top of that, it's just so mentally demanding. It can be extremely difficult just making it through, just psychologically. And Matt has just such a full heart, and I thought he would be the perfect person to interview on this very important topic. So first of all, Matt, thank you for being on this podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me on, Jenna.
Oh my gosh, it's a pleasure. So why is this topic important to you?
This topic of anxiety is important to me because I see how it affects not just myself, but my classmates and other individuals as well, especially being the host of the Capable Body podcast and being able to connect with other individuals who deal with anxiety in different forms, especially in practice, in the clinic, how it doesn't just end just because school ends, even though a large majority of people I've spoken with have said how physical therapy school is just so demanding. When you feel like you don't know too much and you just have that burning, nagging feeling, and you're trying to do your best and you're trying to do a whole multitude of things, including documentation and trying to be timely and trying to be nice to patients, even when sometimes they're not the nicest people in the world, but trying to be professional.
It happens. Yeah.
So really just seeing how it affects me and how it affects others is the biggest reason why.
Yeah. So would you mind going into more detail with your experience as a student, how the anxiety was an obstacle for you?
I would say for me, since I was born with a brachial plexus injury, damage to the nerves near the shoulder blade and collarbone, that the lab practical portion, the more physical portion of physical therapy school, was one of the most intimidating aspects, and one of the reasons I felt that I sort of held back a lot in terms of asking questions or just trying to practice certain techniques with classmates. And just to give a reveal, it really wasn't that bad. Honestly, the one challenge I had was trying to do a full-on sterile scrub with the soap in one of the tiniest sinks you could imagine, and me doing a full-on super deep squat just because I lacked that external rotation on my right shoulder, and then trying to hold the soap, have my hand, and just try to wipe down 10 times as I'm being graded by a classmate on my technique. But other than that, honestly, the physical portions aren't that bad. It really is the mental drain that is difficult for everyone. And to add on top of it is how, with my family, how education is so important, and how that thought does not make it any easier for trying to make it through school.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that pressure. It's just there. It's like a voice in your head. Oh my gosh. So what have you done to overcome anxiety when it's gotten pretty bad?
And on that note, we're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, MyPT Insurance. So if you would like to win a $250 Amazon gift card with no purchase necessary, MyPT Insurance has the liability policy you need at an affordable price. It includes fitness instruction, portable coverage, and you get approved in 3 minutes. With policies starting at $149, they've got you covered. And if you want to win that gift card and save $20, visit myptinsurance.com/smart. The contest ends on February 28th, 2018. And now back to the episode.
I would say, so before going into that moment, people who know me know that I'm very disciplined and very organized and structured. And during the beginning of PT school, it was a lot easier in terms of the course load was lighter and it wasn't quite as cumulative and building up yet. But I was trying to get on top of it in terms of going through the rubric, trying to see where the breakdown of the grade percentages were, trying to prioritize what is important, and trying to focus, give everything its due time, and not necessarily focusing too much on one thing, sort of as, so to speak, like let things slide kind of deal, when certain topics are just a little bit too much at the time and maybe come back to it later. But of course, as time progresses on and you have, say, 9 exams within the period of 3 weeks, and some of those are lab practicals, then it is difficult, and it's kind of like putting the blinders on and just pushing through and doing it, and going through that experience with classmates, and just whatever happens, and how we crack those jokes about, well, can't wait to remediate, or stuff like that, and just hoping you don't fail, but if it comes, just deal with it.
Would you mind telling a story of when you overcame anxiety?
Yes. So I would say the one thing I will admit is that in terms of lab practicals or exams, the one thing I quote unquote failed was the simplest skills check ever for auscultation with the lungs, and how I was just not, for whatever reason, just mentally, I was so drained that I was not making sense what I was saying. And really, that's when, like, even my professor could see how it's just, I'm so anxious, and he tried so dearly just to give me so many chances, but it's just, for whatever reason, my brain just could not process and just could not verbalize in that moment. So really, it's just living through the moment, I guess, is the best way to put it in terms of anxiety, and just letting whatever happens, and then trying to sort of take care of yourself from that point forward, and then just understand that the staff, the faculty are there for you and do want to see you succeed. And at least what is nice about with my institution, definitely feel that they do provide those opportunities for us to improve, because they obviously don't just want us to pass the boards and the MPTE, but to be good as clinicians.
Yeah. For any potential students who are just about to start physical therapy school, what recommendations or advice do you have for them to prepare themselves?
So in terms of preparation, the biggest thing would be whatever hobbies you have, write them down and don't forget them.
I love that. Matt, thank you so much for coming on here. Your voice is so valuable, because there are so many people who deal with anxiety while they're in school, as I was saying at the beginning. And just even you talking about this lets people know that they're not alone. And I just appreciate that very much. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks to Jenna and Matthew. And guys, how much do we love Matthew Villegas? I mean, it takes a lot of courage to get up there and talk about your anxieties and your fears, and it's very personal, and I just love him so much. So thanks so much, Matt, for coming on and being so open and vulnerable with us. So thank you. And of course, thanks to our sponsor, MyPT Insurance. So one more time, if you'd like to win a $250 Amazon gift card with no purchase necessary, then MyPT Insurance is where you want to go. They have the liability policy you need at an affordable price. It includes fitness instruction, portable coverage, and you get approved in just 3 minutes online. With PT policies starting at $149, they've got you covered. Healthy, wealthy, and smart listeners can also save an additional $20 off a policy today. For a chance to win the gift card and save $20, visit myptinsurance.com/smart. The contest ends on February 28th, 2019.
Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to the podcast at podcast.healthywealthysmart.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media.